Welcome to YouTube Pedia. From Buenos Aires to the Vatican, the rise of a different pope. In a world where power and luxury often walk hand in hand with religion, one man dared to walk a different path. A man who came not from the royal corridors of Europe, but from the humble streets of South America. He chose simplicity over grandeur, compassion over dogma, and the people over the palace. His name is Jorge Mario Bergoglio, but the world knows him as Pope Francis. Discover the greatest stories from history, science, and beyond. If you're curious about the world, subscribe now and join our journey through knowledge. This is not just a story about a religious leader. This is the story of a man of mystery, humility, controversy, and undeniable influence. A man whose life journey, from a sickly child in Buenos Aires to the throne of St. Peter, is full of secrets, struggles, and surprising turns. Welcome to the unknown story of Pope Francis. Humble beginnings, the boy from Flores. Jorge Mario Bergoglio was born on December 17, 1936 in the neighborhood of Flores, Buenos Aires, Argentina. He was the eldest of 5 children in a modest Italian immigrant family. His father, Mario, was a railway accountant, and his mother, Regina, a devoted homemaker. Life was not luxurious, it was simple and sometimes even harsh. From a very young age, Jorge was different, quiet, thoughtful, and deeply spiritual, but his early life wasn't without tragedy. At the age of 21, he suffered a life-threatening lung infection and doctors had to surgically remove part of one of his lungs. Most people would slow down after such a condition, but Jorge didn't. He pushed forward silently. A man of love before a man of God. What many don't know is that before he became a priest, Jorge was deeply in love. In fact, as a teenager, he once told a girl from his neighborhood, "If I don't marry you, I'll become a priest." The girl never said yes, and the rest is history. He studied chemistry and even worked for a brief time as a technician in a laboratory, but something kept pulling him back. A voice, a calling, something that went beyond science. He once said, "God came to me in a moment of great clarity." That moment changed everything. The Jesuit path, entering the Society of Jesus. In 1958, at the age of 21, Jorge entered the novitiate of the Society of Jesus, also known as the Jesuits. The Jesuits are often described as the soldiers of the Catholic Church, disciplined, educated, strategic. They are known for their loyalty to the Pope and their deep intellectual traditions, but they are also a brotherhood shrouded in mystery and power. Jorge quickly stood out not for being loud but for being deeply disciplined and remarkably humble. He took vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. Over the years, he became a teacher of literature, philosophy, and theology, but more importantly, he became known for his simplicity. He refused to live in luxury. He cooked his own meals, took public transport, and he always sided with the poor. The Dirty War, shadows in Argentina. One of the darkest chapters in Jorge's life came during Argentina's Dirty War in the 1970s. The military dictatorship abducted, tortured, and killed thousands of people. At the time, Jorge was a high-ranking Jesuit official. This is where controversy begins. 2 Jesuit priests were kidnapped by the military, and some have accused Jorge, now Pope Francis, of not doing enough to protect them. Others say he secretly helped many escape. In fact, years later, one of the kidnapped priests admitted that Jorge had tried to negotiate their release behind the scenes. Was he a silent hero or a fearful witness? The truth lies somewhere in the gray. The bishop who refused the palace. In 1992, Jorge was appointed auxiliary bishop of Buenos Aires. By 1998, he became the archbishop. Most archbishops live in majestic mansions, but not Jorge. He chose a small, humble apartment. He cooked his own meals. He walked among the poor, visited the sick, and was known for sneaking out to feed the homeless at night, disguised with no media, no attention. People began to call him the bishop of the slums. He didn't just talk about the gospel, he lived it. A life of quiet powers. Even as a cardinal, Jorge refused to wear the fancy red robes typical of the clergy. He chose black. He didn't fly first class. He didn't own a car. He believed the church had forgotten the people, and he was not afraid to say it. In a speech in 2007, he said, "We live in a culture where the poor have no voice. The church must be that voice." He was a cardinal, but also a rebel, a quiet revolutionary. The secret election, a new kind of pope. When Pope Benedict XVI shocked the world by resigning in 2013, the Vatican was thrown into chaos. Rumors, conspiracy theories, and power plays began swirling behind closed doors. Who would lead next? Inside the Sistine Chapel, the cardinals voted. White smoke rose, the world waited. And then, the name was announced, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, the first pope from the Americas, the first Jesuit pope, and the first to take the name Francis, inspired by Saint Francis of Assisi, the patron saint of the poor. That name alone sent a message: this pope was going to be different. A pope for the people. From the very beginning, Pope Francis broke traditions. He refused to wear the golden cross, choosing instead a plain silver one. He waved gently from the balcony and asked the crowd to bless him before he blessed them. He refused to live in the apostolic palace. Instead, he moved into a small guest house. He eats in the common cafeteria, he makes personal phone calls, he even sneaks out at night to help the homeless. He is not a king, he is a servant. Hidden symbols and deeper messages. Many scholars believe Pope Francis uses powerful, subtle symbols in his actions. Choosing the name Francis may reflect his mission to rebuild the church from within. His rejection of luxury may be a silent protest against centuries of church extravagance. His embrace of Muslims, atheists, and the LGBTQ+ community may be an attempt to prepare the church for a new era. But these moves have also made him enemies within the very walls of the Vatican. The Vatican, a kingdom within a kingdom. The Vatican may be the smallest country in the world, but it holds some of the biggest secrets. Beneath its ancient beauty and holy traditions is a network of politics, diplomacy, hidden archives, and power struggles. When Pope Francis became the leader of over 1.3 billion Catholics, he didn't just inherit a title. He walked into a war zone, one where whispers carry daggers and tradition resists change like a stubborn ghost. Unlike any pope before him, Francis entered not to rule but to reform, and that many believe made him a target. The battle against corruption. One of the first things Pope Francis did was attack the unspoken financial corruption. For decades, the Vatican Bank had been linked to money laundering, mafia ties, and secret accounts. Billions of dollars passed through the Holy See, but little was known about where it truly went. Pope Francis created a special team to audit the bank and pushed for financial transparency. But suddenly, strange things began happening. Vatican insiders resigned. Mysterious documents were leaked. A whistleblower nun was investigated, not protected. It seemed the deeper he dug, the more resistance he faced. Was he cleaning the temple or poking the hornet's nest? Enemies in robes, internal resistance. Behind the walls of the Vatican, there are cardinals and bishops who believe Pope Francis is too progressive, too radical, too dangerous. They call him the people's pope in public, but in secret, the destroyer of tradition. Some resist his openness to divorced Catholics receiving communion. Others are furious about his calls for environmental care, saying the Pope should focus on saving souls, not the planet. In 2018, a former Vatican ambassador accused Pope Francis of covering up abuse cases. The Pope responded not with rage but with silence. Some say it was wisdom, others say it was fear. The Church was shaking. The abuse crisis, a global earthquake. The darkest stain on the church has been the wave of child abuse scandals across the globe. Pope Francis, like his predecessors, inherited a crisis of trust, but he chose to face it. He created new laws to punish abusers and made it easier for victims to speak. He met with survivors personally and wept with them. But even then, critics said it wasn't enough. Some documents disappeared. Certain priests were quietly relocated instead of removed, and to this day many wonder, is Pope Francis doing all he can, or is he battling an enemy too large even for a pope? Conspiracy theories, the final pope. Strangely, Pope Francis has become the center of many modern conspiracies. One of the most famous is the prophecy of the popes, an ancient prediction attributed to Saint Malachi. According to this prophecy, there would be 112 popes, and the final one would witness the destruction of the church. Pope Francis is listed as the 112th. Coincidence or destiny? Some conspiracy theorists claim he is part of a secret global agenda. Others say he is battling secret societies within the church. Some even believe he's been warned not to push certain reforms or face removal. The truth we may never know, but one thing is clear: his papacy is unlike any before it. A global voice for the voiceless. Despite the battles inside the Vatican, Pope Francis has become a powerful voice for the world's forgotten. He speaks boldly against climate change, poverty and inequalities, war and nuclear weapons, racism and xenophobia, capitalism without ethics. He visits prisons, washes the feet of refugees, speaks with leaders of all religions. He says God is not afraid of new things. But these messages have cost him support among traditionalists. While the world applauds, some inside the church tremble. LGBTQ+, atheists, and the unexpected bridges. In 2013, Pope Francis shocked the world when he said, "Who am I to judge?" in response to a question about gay priests. It was a sentence that changed everything. He later said that the church must welcome LGBTQ+ people with respect, though he still upholds traditional doctrines on marriage. He met with transgender individuals. He apologized to marginalized communities. He said even atheists can be saved if they do good. For the conservative heart of the church, these were earthquakes. But for millions, it was a beacon of hope. The secret archives, what does he know? Deep beneath the Vatican lies a hidden archive stretching over 50 miles. These ancient documents contain some of the church's greatest secrets: letters from kings, reports of miracles, even records of the Inquisition. Many wonder, has Pope Francis read them? What does he know? Some believe the archives hold ancient knowledge about lost gospels, contact with other civilizations, or even the truth about the end times. While most of this remains theory, Pope Francis once said, "There are things the church must be ready to reveal in God's time." What was he referring to? We can only wonder. A pope of paradoxes. Pope Francis is both loved and hated, revered and criticized. He is a pope who lives in a guest house and rules from the most powerful throne in religion. A reformer surrounded by tradition. A shepherd with the heart of a rebel. He's been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. He's been called Person of the Year by Time magazine, and yet some call for his resignation. Perhaps that's what makes him so unique. He is not trying to please the church. He is trying to heal it. And one day when Pope Francis leaves this world, whether by resignation or by death, the world will pause. Millions will mourn not just a religious leader, but a man who dared to challenge power with humility, who walked among the forgotten, and who chose mercy over judgment. But perhaps his greatest legacy won't be written in Vatican halls or marble tombs, but in the hearts of those he touched, silently, powerfully, forever. Hey friends, if you found this video interesting, mysterious, or even a little surprising, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps more people discover these hidden stories. And I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below. What surprised you the most about Pope Francis? Or what do you believe is the biggest secret in the Vatican? And of course, if you're into powerful true stories, mysteries, and untold history, make sure to subscribe and join our journey. There's so much more coming, and trust me, you don't want to miss it.